Welcome to Game Box Daily. I'm Dom.
And I'm Zippy.
First up on this delicious table of news delight, Valve, ZeniMax and Capcom have all landed themselves in hot water after getting slammed with a lawsuit from the EU Commission for violating antitrust laws. The software distributing mogul squad got a giant wrist slapping after a 7-year investigation for using geo-blocking on some of its game titles. This meant if a dev didn't want you to have access to their title, then you're left with no choice than the voyeuristic option of Twitch and YouTube. Under EU competition laws, companies are contractually prohibited from restricting the sales of products to other countries. These kind of actions not only go against the principles of the EU single market, but also force people to admit they're still buying from Kinguin. Valve countered this statement, saying, "The region locks also only apply to a small number of game titles, approximately 3% of all games using Steam, and none of the Valve's own games. At the time they were subject to the contested region locks in the EEA, Valve believed that the EC's extension of liability to a platform provider in these circumstances is not supported or applicable by law."
And let's talk a little bit about GameStop. You know, you love them. Well, actually, to be fair, you probably hate them, and for good reason. They forced their workers to work during the beginning of the pandemic. They called GameStop an essential service. By the way, it's not. Towards the end of the year, had employees compete for more time, not time off, which completely makes sense, right? But those are past things, and what we care about is the now. Well, somehow, with all the ridiculous bullshit that they've been doing for the past year, they managed to breathe life back into the horrible corpse that they actually are. In the past 9 months, their stock has blown up, going from $3 a share to over $40 a share. How, you might ask? This is ridiculous. The guy who started Chewy, Ryan Cohen, he's now on the board of directors with a bunch of his friends that also worked with Chewy. This is the guy who took the idea of retail pet stores, pushed them to an online marketplace, and then sold it back to those physical stores for a massive gain in the terms of $3.35 billion with a B dollars. So why do you care? Why do gamers care? Simple, really. So them getting more stock is they're somehow getting more cash flow, and where that's coming from is getting rid of the brick and mortar stores, fewer storefronts, fewer employees to pay, less rent that they have to pay for those storefronts, more stuff available specifically online, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but the days of like camping in front of the store for a new game, new console, or whatever, they're pretty much over, right? In the classical sense, anyway. Instead, they're heavily advertising any restocks of their consoles. Per their Twitter, they advertised a restock of Xbox Series X, S, whatever, confusing, Switches, PS5s, but not the time the sales were going to go live. So you feasibly could have like camped out at your computer to try and beat the bots and scalpers. But as far as I'm aware, they still haven't implemented any kind of bot combating techniques similar to other storefronts like Best Buy. Apparently the idea of CAPTCHAs, which, you know, those things that you have to say to prove you're not a bot, it's too hard to install those into the things selling to ask if you're not a bot. But through all of this, GameStop went through a year pandemic where a lot of storefronts are closing and somehow came out above it, which blows my mind.
So in the UK, Game has pretty much been reduced down to independent stores. I still find it absolutely bizarre that, as I say, this company is doing so well with, you know, services as the like of Amazon. And if I buy anything online, I certainly don't buy a physical copy of it. I buy a digital copy of it. You know, so you got Steam, you got the PlayStation Store. So I mean, I'm impressed by some respects of how they've managed to do this. But yeah, the godsend from Nintendo. Chewy, is it? Is he the? Yeah,
so Ryan Cohen, the former CEO of Chewy, he sold Chewy to, I think it was like Petco, I want to say. And now he's on GameStop's board of directors.
Oh, well, I know how he does it then. He gives a free puppy away with every sale.
Yeah. I want some GameStop stock now for more puppers.
Yeah, exactly. Darling, what's this you brought home? Oh, just 500 Alsatians and shares. Speaking of dogs, well, next up, Naughty Dog has left everyone speculating over their next potential title after the senior artist published a picture portraying a very angry-looking medieval lady and her witchy pals. While this is no solid confirmation that something new is coming, the title Inspire from Game does lead you to raise a curious eyebrow. Neil Druckmann has also dropped some blood in the shark pool, teasing that the studio is working on something very cool, and an additional job descriptions suggest that there will be hand-to-hand combat in the next IP. Naughty Dog quoting, Naughty Dog has spent the last decade carefully curating some of the top gameplay animators and technical minds in the world. This group of individuals is what allows us to create characters with the fidelity and believability that we put in games like this, The Last of Us and Uncharted series. We look for talented gameplay animators to help us create compelling systems for our future projects. Work may include help shape the hand-to-hand combat system and or bring the various archetypes and supporting cast to life. So with Uncharted in the bin and The Last of Us 2 on the back burner, fans will just have to wait until we know more about the mystery art. Well, I can give you an update that the pictures were a big load of bollocks. So apparently halfway down in the comments it said inspired from a recent game, which was Valhalla. So no wonder the character looked very familiar, but exciting things that there is a new IP on the way, and you know, a Naughty Dog hand-to-hand combat. It can only mean that they're making a boxing RPG. That's what we're going for.
Well, I know that, see, I've been making the joke for as long as I've been playing Naughty Dog games, post, like, Jak and Daxter. So when I started playing the Uncharted series and The Last of Us, I just made the joke that, like, Naughty Dog really just wants to make movies. They're not as interested in games anymore as a medium. They just want to make movies. And Neil Druckmann has actually come out and said, yes, he wants to make movies. So... maybe,
but no one wants to make but apparently no one wants to make an Uncharted movie. I think they go through directors faster than I can a box of Weetabix.
Let's switch gears for a minute and talk about PCs. So a couple months back, Nvidia launched the 3000 series of GPUs. To literally no one's surprise, they almost immediately sold out. When the 3080s released, when the 3090s released, almost instantly gone. 3070s, almost instantly gone. Stories abound about GPUs being in a person's cart, and by the time they got to checkout, cart was suddenly magically empty. This literally happened to me twice for the 3070. In the same morning, Best Buy was in my cart, went to check out, not in my cart anymore. I'm more an Nvidia person, never been one for AMDs, but apparently they've been having a similar issue with their new series of GPUs. I think it's like the 6000 series, I want to say. Well, I can't speak to how AMD is handling their business. Nvidia had a great idea on how to handle theirs. Prior to the release of their newest member, the 3000 series, the 3060, they're going to be re-releasing the 2060. It's an older card who's supposed to be replaced by the 3060 directly. And it was extremely popular at time of release because it was a cheaper upgrade than any of the other 2000 series cards. Now, there's a lot of speculation as to why now for re-releasing this card. It was extremely popular, and they kind of took it off the shelves. They discontinued it while still making other 20 series cards. There are a few ideas that make sense to me. One is that Nvidia is just trying to bank on folk saying they're ready for an upgrade and not being too particular on the new card. Like, I might fall into this because I have a 900 series and I'm like, I just need a new card, and I need a new card soon. Or they're trying to distract scalpers, assuming scalpers are just mining Bitcoin with the cards and not, scalping the cards. Both Nvidia and AMD have stated that they will have stocking issues through the early months of 2021. Nvidia has gone on to say that maybe until the end of their first quarter, which is April, just FYI. So they could be having stocking issues through April and possibly into May as well. Normally, AMD would pawn off production to a third-party manufacturer, but is choosing not to do so with their newest 6000 series cards, as the third-party producers are apparently inflating the prices. It's almost like the scalpers who would buy the cards and then resell them at overinflated prices got jobs making the third-party cards to build the cards on the existing architecture and resell them at a higher profit than what would be the recommended price. It's bullshit.
Yeah, it's similar to the Xbox and the PS5 nonsense. I've almost release dates, they don't mean anything anymore. They're like a date where you may see it in the wild, and then a year later you may see some in a store, and 2 years down the line everyone will have them and no one will care.
It's you know who gets them at this time? Super popular Twitch streamers and YouTubers, and the people who have the bots.
Wait.
That's about it.
Hang on, that can't be true, because I've been checking my passwords every day, and have you got one?
I was supposed to have two. I was supposed to have a PS5 and I was supposed to have a 3070, but neither of those things, both of those fell through. So I guess my popularity waned.
Yeah. Mine must be lost in the post, or yes, stolen by Paddington Bear, perhaps. Anyway, talking of steals, let's move on to the shenanigans that are coming on from EA at the moment. So, EA is back with more news, and this time it's not a surprise mechanic. EA has taken over another step towards owning every game company under the sun, announcing they've made more steps towards buying Codemasters. Directors will vote to approve a whopping $1.2 billion deal to purchase the company. This time the vote is binding, meaning that even if a bigger fish comes along, then the sale will still go ahead.
Go.
So, if everything goes well and EA doesn't violate another Star Wars franchise in the meantime, we should be looking at around February the 16th. This means EA will have a couple of driving studios under their belt, buying Burnout in 2004 and slaving them into hit flops like Battlefield 5 and Star Wars Rise of the Franchise Violator 2. What they plan to do with the acquisition we don't know, but let's hope the only dirt they produce stays on the track.
So they're not like going on the mad acquisition spree like Microsoft did. And at least they're producing stuff, because Microsoft went on their acquisition spree and then, released a console without any games for it.
That's true. I mean, but it's okay, you can't buy the console.
That's true. That's very, very true.
They predicted this. This is an incredibly intelligent move. It's like, why? Why do we need to produce games? No one's going to have these consoles, just one or two, and everyone else is going to be jealous of them. But yeah, EA going into the driving game market even more so. I'm super excited for this. I think Dirt is a fantastic franchise, and certainly one of the few driving games that I actually get my teeth into, so I'm interested to see how it goes, and whether or not actually they do throw them into other projects. To say they definitely are known for buying up studios and then using that manpower to produce other IPs.
Yeah, and then working them to point of failure and then dissolving that company.
Sound a bit angry there, Sippy.
I am, because they've in the past acquired really, really great studios, took them from what their strengths were, moved them into another thing entirely, and we're like, you didn't make the game that you don't know how to make very good. You didn't perform very well, so we're just gonna burn you.
Okay.
It's always the thing that I'm afraid of with any EA acquisition.
Anyway, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. This has been Gamebox Daily. I'm Dom.
And I'm Sippy.
If you've enjoyed this content, perhaps think about dropping a like. But if you want more updates from the channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'll be back tomorrow with more updates for you. But stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll be back soon. Bye-bye!
Bye! To check out, the cart was suddenly magically empty. Empty. I'm gonna reread that. Let's switch gears and talk about. Oh, fuck's sake! Let's switch gears and.
EA doesn't violate and.
Violate?
Violate? What violate? So if everything goes well and EA doesn't violate,
Nailed it.
Oh god. Okay.